Okay, this morning we are going to use a prop as a block, but we'll be using that much later in the session. I also decide to stand a little bit because I need enough room out to the side, enough room overhead, which means I have to sort of negotiate the length. And we're just going to shake that out a little bit. So literally shaking arms and legs. When you do this, it's called a kriya. It's like a way of cleansing the body of stale blood. So this just really is designed to get a little bit of flow, get a little bit of breath moving through the body. Wakes you up a little bit. Hopefully it feels like fun. Not something you can do in the middle of the supermarket, but it still is quite nice to do. You can join in the head as well if you wish. You can bounce up and down. Some people like to put a little bounce in, so they bend the knees as well, and that kind of works into the feet in a different way. Knees, hips works into the balance, etc. Gets a little bit into the muscles in the top of the neck as well. The head bounces around. So you can just, it's literally a couple of minutes, all it takes. You can do it for a lot longer. But this morning we just need a couple of minutes of this. This is a great way of warming up in the winter months for your class as well, although this is in height of the summer. But it's first thing in the morning. It's kind of invigorating. Not when you're doing it, but when you stop. And just let it all stop. You kind of feel a bit of a buzzy feeling in the body. And then we'll bring the feet together. And take the hands out wide, inhaling up. And you're going to try and bring the hands directly above the shoulders, palms facing in, and then exhale on out. As we do this, we take a couple of these rounds, just letting the body move. So we get the shoulders to work first. You'll notice that your ribs flare up. You sort of increase the arch of your back. Your hips tilt forwards a little bit. The weight shifts into the toes. So now we're going to draw the ribs down towards the hips and the hips up towards the ribs. So you kind of draw the core muscles in a little bit. And we'll work a little harder to do that and bring the palms together so you don't get the lift through the chest. Negate that out. Bring that up one more time, just drawing in. Just firing up those muscles. And we'll take that into a little side bend. So take the feet out again. Going to take the right arm up and then exhale, walking down and stretching up and over through the right hand. Then back in, just walk back up with the fingertips, draw the other arm up, exhale down, I'll walk down first and then stretch over, come back in, both arms up towards the sky, and exhale down. Bring hands in towards the heart, lace off to interlace the hands, index finger points up. Going to inhale the hands past the eyes up towards the ceiling. And then once the hands have reached as high up as they're going to get, we're going to start to let the eyes gaze up towards the hands and take the hands towards the back of the mat. So we're getting a long back bend. We're not worried about how far back we go. We're going to press the feet down as well. Remember to breathe. Stretching out, you're going to feel those lats stretching out. You're going to feel the muscles underneath the shoulder blades stretching out. Maybe across the chest a little bit as well. Drawing the belly in. And then we'll bring ourselves back. And bring the hands back down gently. And just shake that out again. We'll come towards the front of the mat, which you may already be, but for me. Feet together, about hip distance apart and parallel, hands in towards the heart to start with. And exhale down with a long flat back. We'll soften the knees. Remember, first one of the morning, those hamstrings and back muscles are going to be tight. We'll bring the hands onto the shins and lift up halfway. Try and keep the weight even through the feet. Exhale down, which does require you to actually press the feet down into the floor. Hands onto the hips, soften the knees again. We'll lift up. Bring the hands back in towards the heart. Exhaling down. Hands onto the shins. Fold it down. Hands to the hips. And we'll lift up. A couple more maybe. Inhale up. Now you can take the hands up towards the sky and out to the side, so you get that arm flow going in if you wish. You can keep it simple. Hands in towards the heart. And we'll come up the last time. Your hands in towards the heart. We're coming into a downward dog. Once the hands reach the floor, we're going to walk the legs out a little bit. First thing in the morning, again, just treating the hamstrings with due respect. You allow the belly to draw in towards the tailbone and up. So it's a little bit of a mind-body connection thing going on there to lift up. Your belly will draw in, which means the breath is a little more focused into the chest. So I'm going to allow my knees to stop moving and start to draw the heels towards the back of the mat so the toes feel a little lighter. Lengthen the spine up a little more, so opening the chest and the shoulders. Let those drop down towards the floor. That line between hand, shoulder, and hips gets a little flatter. And then I'm going to come forwards into a plank slowly and just let the knees come down. Ready for cat-cow. So positioning myself to all fours, drawing the chest forwards, tilting the tailbone up, and then tilting the tailbone down to start the ripple through the spine. Again, starting easy for the first couple. If that feels good in the body, you can take it a little stronger, lift a little further, press a little more into the hands and the shins. We're just really kind of checking out what's happened to the body through a night's sleep. We may have been moving around for an hour or so, haven't got up, but body's still kind of waking up, warming up. So shoulders are nice and broad. We're rolling back a little bit. And then we're going to take the knees wide, back into child's pose. As we sit down, we'll take the hands over towards the right side, see how that feels. In the groins, hips, knees, ankles, and shoulders. It's almost a head, knees, and toes thing. And then we'll bring ourselves back into the center. Come back into the center, lift about halfway. We'll take that into a twist. So right arm comes under and that right shoulder and ear drop down. We can walk the left hand out a little further. And allow ourselves to come back. So walk the top hand in, draw that right arm out, kick over to the left. And then walk ourselves back out of that as well. Come back onto all fours. Bring the knees underneath into our down dog. We'll take the right leg high into a scissor, square hips and shoulders. We'll draw the knee in towards the chest and through the lunge. So lining up fingers and toes. Strong back leg pressing out through the heel. Chest lifted, belly drawn in. Hands come back down to the floor. We'll slide that foot back into down dog. And we'll take the left leg high into the scissor. And then towards the chest, through into the lunge. Strong back leg again, chest lifted, so it's rocking into that front hip a little bit. Hands come to the floor. We're back. Right leg lift. Knee into the chest. Foot comes through. One breath here. Exhale on the way back to dog. Scissor left. Knee into the chest. Through to lunge. And now back into down dog. Come into plank on the exhale. Knees down to the floor. I'm going to pivot the right foot off to the side. Slide the left foot back. Drop the heel in. Bring the right hand a little more in line with that right knee. Open out to a baby side plank. And we'll come back down to all fours. We'll take the same again. So from there, we just pivot the foot out, slide the right foot back. Heel comes in, toes are forwards a little bit. Hips press over towards the right side. Press down into the shin. Lift the hips as high as you can. Press down into the back foot. Try to keep the head in line with the torso. Appreciate that's a big ask since it's got an arch through the spine. But we're just trying to keep it an equal distance through the shoulders. Palm faces the side and we spread out through the fingertips. So make use of the time the hand is free to open up. Keep the core muscles drawn in a little bit. And then we'll come back down into the plank. So just from all fours, we'll take the feet over combined. Left hand lifts, hips are high. Now we'll come back into the plank, keeping the hips nice and high, same height as the shoulders or higher. And taking it over to the other side. So on the side of one foot, flat foot for the other. For me, flat foot is the forward foot. Keep trying, the legs are strong, they're driving down, the hips are lifting up, core is drawn in. And back into plank. Let ourselves move into down dog and just walk the legs in straight as they can, hip distance apart, into the front of the mat, into a forward fold. Bring the hands onto the hips, roll the shoulders back and let ourselves lift. Bring hands in towards the heart, interlace the fingers again, index finger lifts up. Hands come up towards the sky, ribs are down, hip bones are up. Now we're taking into that back bend again. So we just look up slowly, press down through the feet. Open up the back of the shoulders. And we'll release the hands this time out to the side. And then bring the hands in towards the heart. We're going to bring the toes together, little gap for the heels. Bend the knees, squeeze the thighs together, keep the spine nice and long. Extend the hands out directly above the shoulders, palms facing again. Use that opportunity to stretch out between the little finger and the thumb. Okay, going to lift from there. And the hands back in towards the heart. We'll load the weight into the right foot. Let the left knee lift, and then turn the knee out to the side so your heel is lifting up and flexing the foot. We're coming into a standing figure 4. We're going to soften gently and bring that outer shin bone onto the top of the thigh so that ankle is there outside. And then slowly work our way back down into chair, keeping the foot flexed, knee out to the side. And then we'll lift back up. And release the foot back down. Feet together in this one. Reload into the left leg. Right leg lifts. Knee turns out to the side, heel lifts. Already start to get a little bend as we lay the legs together. Our way down on the exhales. Lifting back up. Nice and slow. Release the feet back to the ground, take them hip distance apart. Exhale forwards. Down to the floor. We'll step it back into a down dog. And let ourselves come back down onto all fours. We'll inhale chest forwards. Exhale out. Down into child's pose. We'll lift back up to all fours. Roll the shoulders back. Toes under. Hips go back into down dog for a lift. We come forwards into plank. Knees to the floor. Untuck toes, chest forwards. We round through the spine for our cat-cow. Inhale forwards. And then as we lift for the second time, we sit back into child's pose. Elbows and head to the ground. Breath here. Exhale back up. Forwards. Shoulders roll back, toes tuck under. And we lift back into our down dog. Come forwards into plank. Knees to the floor. Sit back down. Child's pose. Take a breath. Exhale it out. Toes under, back into down dog. Draw the right knee into right leg to scissor, knee into chest, lunge that through, drop the back knee, let the arms come back towards the body and lift up. Keep the ribs down, hips up, hands come up towards the sky, fingers touch, back down to the floor, step it back into down dog. And inhale, lifting the left leg, knee in towards the chest, foot comes through, release the back knee, bring the hands alongside the body and out to the side, draw those ribs down, hands back to the floor, tuck the toes, and we're back. Down dog, right leg lifts, knee in towards chest, foot comes through, back knee drops, untuck the toes, hands towards, inhale, hands come down, you step back, left leg lifts, knee comes in, foot comes through, untuck the toes, this time we'll step into the front of the mat, into a forward fold, and we'll let the ribs and the thighs meet a little closer, so we'll get a little deeper. Hands onto the hips, and lift up. Inhale high, hands through the heart. Long, slow Exhale down to the floor, belly's drawn in. Let's put the left foot back to lunge. We're coming into warrior two, hands alongside the body. And the cartwheel open. Hands in towards the heart, rotate towards the front of the mat. Hands down to the floor. Step it back into our down dog. We come forwards into the plank, half plank. Up dog. Roll over the toes. Down dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Last breath in. Inhale the left knee in for lunge. Exhale through. And step into the forward fold. Draw the ribs and thighs close again. Hands onto the hips. And we can lift up. We'll inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhaling down. Taking the right leg back this time. Dropping the heel to heel alignment. Warrior two. So we lift up. Hands towards the heart. We rotate. Lengthen down to the floor. Step it back into down dog. Forwards into plank. Off plank. Up dog. Strong legs. Lengthening out. Core muscles to lift. Here we take a little pause here. Down dog. No connection with the pause and the dog. Different kind of pause. Draw that right leg in. Root. To lunge. Press off the back toes. Forward fold. Hands onto the hips. And we'll lift up. Inhale high. Hands interlace, fingers point up towards the sky. Take another back bend. Into standing central position. We'll drop the hands down, make sure the feet are parallel hip distance apart. We'll take the right arm up. We'll come into the side bend again. Walk the fingers down, stretch the right hand over. Lift back up. Take it from the left hand lift to the right. Squeezing the air out a little bit. Coming back up. And hands into the heart. Exhale down to the floor. Take the fingers forwards a little bit and lift the heels, squat down. So nice easy position. And we'll just bring the fingers back. Now I'm going to ease my way back down to the floor. Make sure you have enough room behind for your arms to lengthen out and enough room forwards for your legs to lengthen out. And once you've done that, I'm going to draw the legs back in and bring the hands back on towards your chest. Or draw core muscles down, lower back into the ground. Pull the shoulders out a little bit. And we'll let one knee and then the other knee come in towards the chest. Squeeze the thighs together, point the toes away. And let the legs lift up to 90 degrees above the hips. We'll take the hands 90 degrees above the chest. You can alternate legs and arms. So we're keeping the belly drawn in and the lower back to the floor. Right arm, left leg, lengthen out. You want to actually stretch out through the limbs rather than thinking about dropping them down. exhaling over the other way. So let them lengthen out, bring them back, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And bring the knees back in towards the body. We'll take the hands on top of the knees and allows us to make some nice big juicy circles. So letting the spine free up, pelvis tilts a little bit. Inhaling the knees in, exhaling away and wide. Now take the knees in the opposite direction. And let the feet come down to the floor. Take the arms nice and wide. Going to lift the left leg up, turn the toes out, figure 4 for that top leg, but we're going to take it into spiral twist. So I'm going to drop the foot down towards the right side, the knee high. Try and keep your shoulders on the floor. We're deliberately trying to draw the left knee, thinking about that, up towards the sky in terms of direction. We're actually trying to get a sense of sending the hips away from the body as well. So not just in the twist, but we're trying to get length in the spine as well. Take one more breath there. Exhale on the way up. Tangle the legs. Take the opposite leg up. Rotate out. And let ourselves use that foot down to the floor. Head turns the opposite way if it feels good. Relax shoulders. We'll lift back up again into the center. Lengthen that leg out a little bit. Okay, you draw the hands alongside the body. Now we want to walk the hands underneath the bottom, so the palms are facing downwards, and you walk the hands as far away as you can, so that your spine is just a little lifted, still touching the ground, but just a little bit taken away, and you're resting a little bit into the arms. So depending on whether you've got long arm, short back combination, your fingers are going to be either further down your bottom or closer towards the hips. And draw the belly in and the lower back into the floor. So that's why we wanted to be connected, and then we can press down a little more. We'll draw the knees in towards the body. Then we'll squeeze the thighs and point the toes, and then extend the legs up to 90 degrees. On the exhale, we're going to take them out to 45, which is just when they start to leave your peripheral vision usually, and then we'll bring them back up as we exhale. We want to bring them back up nice and slowly with control. So we're not feeling the hips lifting and moving around too much. You're actually sending the tailbone away and drawing the belly in. So it's very easy to pull everything together. You want to bring everything together and lengthen at the same time. Now be careful that your head doesn't join in. And a telltale sign is when the chin starts to lift towards the back of the mat. And your eyes move in that direction as well. So keep the head very square to the ceiling. Squeeze of the thighs together. Nice slow motion moves. So that was the last lift. And towards the body. Ooh, feet to the floor. Untangle the legs. We roll over onto our right side. Use the hands to press down onto the floor. And finally, get to use my prop. So that comes underneath my bottom. Legs out in front. So Dandasana to start with. And to draw the left heel into the groin, knee out to the side. Sit up nice and tall. Little bend in the front knee, flex the foot, remember, get space in the spine. Going to draw the chest forwards. Allow yourself to extend the hands out forwards towards the front of the mat as well. So everything's drawn out. Then when you've got as deep and as low as you can, just bring the hands back down to the floor. So you roll the shoulders back a little bit. Get the head in line with the rest of the body. Belly drawn in, sending the right hip back a little bit. Or release. Fingers to the floor, draw back and then lift up. Cross over to the right knee, bending and heel into the groin, square the hips, little bend in the knee, hands to the shin, get the height. Fold. Nice to extend the hands forwards. Bring the hands to the floor, roll the shoulders back a little bit. Toes up towards the sky and the left hip draws back a little. And bring the hands back underneath and lift again. Lengthen the legs out. Bring the left leg under and out towards the right hip and right foot across. Come into a seated twist. I'm going to tilt the pelvis forwards. And you're going to take the right arm up first and then come into the open twist. So I'm going to brace the arm and knee on the front and roll the rear shoulder back over to the opposite side. And release. We'll do it the opposite side. So legs come out, right leg comes under, knees pointing forwards, two sitting bones on the floor, hopefully. Left leg comes over, tilt the pelvis. Left arm lifts, twist, brace the front arm and leg. Roll that back shoulder, draw the belly in a little bit. Think about height in the spine. It's very easy to slump down a little bit, so you open the chest up towards the ceiling. And then we'll release from there as well. We come back down to the floor. going to use my block underneath my head. So knees high, hands behind chin to chest, and roll the spine down to the floor. Sort the blocks out, bring the feet in towards your bottom. You can take the left leg high, turn the toes out. Coming into figure 4 again, this time we're going to come up onto the tippy toes of the right foot and draw that right knee in. So that left hand goes through the center, right hand around the outside. And find what we can find. And that leg up to the sky, give it a little shake out. Do the same with the opposite leg. Turn toes out. Figure 4 for the legs, tippy toe. Strength of the left leg draws in. Interesting, still a little bit tight in that inner groin, mid thigh on this side. Out of there as well. Move the block out from behind the back of the head so it comes down to the floor. Take the feet as wide as the hips, toes in a little bit for bridge pose. So heels underneath knees, hands down by the side of the body, nice and tight in, roll the shoulders under a little bit, and roll the lower back into the floor. Start to lift the tailbone, and as you exhale, roll those hips lift up slowly. Press the thighs forwards and send the buttocks in the same direction so that we can feel the glutes and the hamstrings and the thighs firing up together. If you are thighs and hamstrings only, then you need to, I suggest, connect your mind to where your bottom is. And imagine you've got a pair of hands pushing your buttocks down towards your knees. And gradually get them to fire up. Part of it is the connection, the awareness, and then there's the control. So without awareness, we don't have any control. So if that's missing, that's the bit we work on. Pressing down through the backs of the shoulders and the arms a little. Those legs are starting to tremble. Ease our way back down to the floor. And take a couple of breaths here. Do that again. Draw spine and belly down. Slow, gradual curl of the tailbone away from the floor. Lifting. So you're starting to feel the abdominals, the lower back, and the legs working together as a unit. And then the buttocks away. How about that for a mantra? Slowly peel back down again. Now draw the right knee in towards the chest, take the hands around the back of the thigh, interlace, and then start to press the heel up towards the sky. Just Supta Padangusthasana. Slide the left heel out, lengthen the legs so the calf and the heel are on the floor, toes to the sky. Draw the belly in again, just keeping the head looking towards the sky. And then we'll release the foot back in and the foot down. And we'll take it to the last side. Hands around back of the thigh. Press that leg slowly up towards the sky. Slide the right heel out. Heel and calf to the ground. Lengthening both heels away. Feeling the legs engage a little bit as you lengthen out. Last breath here. Bring everything back. And we'll take final Shavasana. So sliding the heels out. Hands out wide. I'll keep it flat to the floor today. Let everything sink down to the ground. So loose jaw, eyes closed. Just work it out through the fingers and toes. Let the legs lengthen, hips and shoulders wiggle around a little bit until you can come back to stillness and rest. Wiggle those fingers and toes. Wrist ankles, join in. Breathe a little deeper. Long stretch. Slide the heels in. Knees in towards the body. We'll take that slow, gentle hug. Roll onto our right side. Rest in. On the exhale, turn the chest down and press the hands into the floor to lift up. Back into seated posture. So allow that to be a comfortable position. Nice long spine. And hands to heart. Close the eyes, taking a breath in. Chin drop slowly as you ease the air from the lungs. Draw the belly to the spine and bow to the floor to seal the practice. On the inhale, we'll build the spine back up with the breath. Let the head and the eyes lift and open. Namaste. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a lovely day.